I feel pretty confident in saying we all know what free to play and pay to win means. But what actually is the free to play business model and how does it relate to War Thunder? With all the controversy surrounding War Thunder in the last couple weeks, I've seen a lot of posts and a lot of people questioning the decisions Gaijin has been making surrounding War Thunder. Myself included, I've been scratching my head like everyone else wondering where all these decisions are coming from when it comes to the game's development. So I got curious and really tried to find out what exactly the free-to-play business model is, and I wanted to figure out how closely or how far away War Thunder follows that model. And I was actually pretty surprised to see that War Thunder actually follows the free-to-play business model pretty straightforwardly. And that's what I want to talk about in this video. This is part one in a two-part video series that I'm making surrounding the current War Thunder controversy. The second video will have to do with my thoughts on the review bombing, as well as the theories of communication on why Gaijin doesn't officially acknowledge any community forums. So when you're done watching this video, make sure you go check that one out. Link will be in the description. I want to state at the beginning of this video that my goal for this is to be completely educational. This is not to serve as an opinion piece for either pro Gaijin or pro player base. I want to keep my thoughts and my commentary in the independent category. It's because like everything in life, you should examine everything from all angles before you make an opinion or judge something. Let's get started. I admit that when it comes to the actual details of what free-to-play is, I didn't really know a whole lot. I kind of knew the basics at first, that the game generally is free, but you can spend real money to increase progression, unlock exotic equipment otherwise unavailable to a free-to-play player, or cosmetics, or some other virtual good that exists in the game that's only accessible via real currency. So after doing some digging online, I came across this abstract by a couple of University of Vienna, Austria students, which I found to be pretty enlightening. It's not very long. I'm going to put the link in the description if you want to read it yourself. But I found it very insightful. This model is characterized by providing its product or service at no charge with a set of basic functions attached to it. Monetization occurs with the offer of additional functions and services that enhance the core product and its experience for the customer. There are four major elements to the basic concept of a free-to-play model. The first one we're going to talk about is unobstructed play. And that is basically concerns motivations around being able to continuously play the game without any barriers. In War Thunder, this would pretty much be like the grind itself. Players can buy premiums of higher tiers that they have unlocked because they don't want to take the time to reach top tier. They just want to get there right now. So for them, buying a top tier premium would be their way of skipping the tech tree. They're being unobstructed by the grind. Social interaction has to do with purchasing motivations that are related to the player's social presentation and interactions such as being able to play with friends, personalize their in-game assets, sending gifts, all that kind of stuff. You can send gifts to other players via the shop, but also social presentation and playing with your friends. You can spend golden eagles to create a squadron. And then from squadron play, you can unlock specific vehicles, squadron vehicles, that are only available to people in squadrons. Competition factor. Competition is considered as a motivating factor when the gamer strives to become the best player possible and show off to others, especially in his circle of online friends. An example of this would be purchasing camouflage cosmetics like bushes that go on your tank to give you a competitive edge in the battle. Also, spending golden eagles to upgrade crews, giving your crew better efficiency and better ability than other players' crews. Economic rationale is the fourth category, and I think this one is awesome to learn about because this describes purchase motivations such as reasonable pricing, special offers, the intention to support an enjoyable game, and investing in a personal hobby. I think a really good example of economic rationale is we just had the May sales where you could get discounts on premium account. You buy some premium account or some golden eagles at a discount. You then buy the battle pass, you complete the battle pass, and then you sell the battle pass vehicle rewards on the Gaijin market and overall make a profit. So you have actual entrepreneurs inside of War Thunder. So let's move on to the business implications section. And basically what this talks about is it serves to provide and discuss implications on how business professionals can leverage the motivations that we just talked about and attitudes of gamers to sell their virtual goods in a free-to-play gaming environment. Now, there are 7 categories inside of the business implications section. The first one is stratified content, Second, inconvenient gameplay elements. Third, mediums of exchange. Number 4, inventory mechanics. Number 5, special occasions and artificial scarcity. 6, alterations to existing content. 7, customer lifetime value. Stratified content is essentially breaking down the content within inside of the game, both vertically and horizontally. Vertical content represents the progression of players, aka the tech tree. Horizontal content, on the other hand, means that there are different gameplay dimensions within a game, such as hardcore gaming for performance-oriented gamers, socializing activities, trading activities, and casual elements for the less hardcore gamers. Horizontal content would be spending money to do crew skills, or basically any sort of content that doesn't actually progress you farther in the game. Moving on to inconvenient gameplay elements, which I think a lot of us will probably focus on this one the most, but its inconvenient gameplay elements have been previously discussed with the notion that frustration is a motivating factor to convince gamers to purchase an item. And I think this is where the economy changes really zeroes in. When they make the economy worse, it takes longer to grind. When it takes longer to grind, you can't progress through the game. If you can't progress through the game, or if you find out it's going to take you years to get to top tier because you have a family and a job, you're more likely to buy that premium account or that premium vehicle to help the grind go by faster, because you're tired of being frustrated with how long it takes. It's important to keep it within certain limits, as the gamer should not feel as if no progress would be made without paying, but there needs to be a balance found that elevates frustration but doesn't discourage the player. You can't make the grind too easy because you have to incentivize players to keep playing, which funds the game development, but you also can't make the grind too hard where players feel like money is the only way, therefore you isolate and ostracize your own community. And I think that right there is where Gaijin is screwing up the most right now, is because they are teetering more on the side of frustration, trying to get players frustrated to a point where they spend more and more and more money to try and make the grind not as miserable. Moving on to number 3, mediums of exchange. Basically what mediums of exchange is it references that generally in free-to-play games, there's 2 different types of currencies. You have a regular currency and then a premium currency, where in War Thunder's case, you have golden eagles. It basically says here the advantages of a model are that it has psychological effect by representing an exclusive virtual economy, and also offers flexible pricing options that are not distinct as they would be with direct real money purchases. For example, prices for items could differ from the amount of currency that is purchasable, thus leaving the customer with some available balance and the incentive to buy more in the future. How many of us have bought 10,000 golden eagles? You buy the premium tank for, I don't know, 7,500. You have 2,500 left over. You're like, well, I don't want to spend the 2,500, but if I buy 5,000, that puts me back at 7,500 and I can buy another vehicle. It'll be cheaper technically next time because I only need to buy 5,000 instead of the 10. Hope that makes sense. The next one is inventory mechanics, which I'm not going to spend any time on because it references spending real money to increase your character's in-game inventory, where in War Thunder's case, I really think the only thing this would mention is the amount of hanger slots you have, which, whatever. Special occasions and artificial scarcity. Special occasions mean special events that occur in-game. They are often modeled after seasonal real-life events and come with exclusive sets of items and special offers to incentivize a purchase. Boom. This is a big one. Battle passes, events, where you have to get the certain amount of score every 2 days, and if you don't, you have to spend the 300 golden eagles or whatever it is to buy that stage so you can get enough tokens to get the vehicle. This fits in really well with the mediums of exchange, as it indeed creates that sense of FOMO, fear of missing out, with the factor of artificial scarcity, where items can only be modeled in a way that they are difficult to obtain or only available for a certain period. According to a survey they did for this abstract, the majority of gamers they surveyed actually answered this is the reason why they spent money in the game, as those special events that had an expiration time. The fear of not being able to complete the event before time runs out motivated them to spend money and complete the event faster or on time so they didn't miss out. Number 6, alterations to existing content. refers to providing new content to the game of a larger scope, often devaluing old content in the process. This method is costly, but highly useful in terms of monetization, as devaluing old content makes it necessary to purchase the new in order to progress further in the game. How many times does Gaijin release any sort of premium vehicle? Turns out it's absolutely overpowered and just bonkers. Word gets out, everyone spam buys it because everyone wants the new thing because it's so good. And then eventually, after a while, Gaijin releases the next premium vehicle, which is better than the one that you just spent all the money to buy because it's no longer new. It's obsolete. That's essentially what this alterations is talking about. Constantly releasing new content that makes old content obsolete, where players feel like they're at a disadvantage if they stick with the old content. And lastly, customer lifetime value. They state here in the abstract that conversion rates from non-paying players to paying players are reportedly very low, between 1 and 5%. So if we look at the War Thunder player base, and approximately 80% of the player base is free to play and 20% has spent real money, then according to this statement, only between 1 and 5% of that 80% will make the switch over to paying players. And they also state here it's very important for game developers to be able to differentiate high-value customers that spend a lot versus those who are less valuable in order to determine the best possible strategy that yields an increase to profit. I think this is why we see so many new premium vehicles that are constantly coming out, because they can charge $60 to $70 for a rank 5 through 7 premium vehicle. And for the players out there in the world who consider themselves collectors, who have to have every vehicle, if they know that whenever they release a $60 premium vehicle that they're going to get a ton of people to instantly want to buy it just so they have it, and given the fact that in the past that premium vehicles that are new tend to be very good, at least with the current meta, once you kind of understand what's going on here, it's really easy to see this cycle. That with every new update, they create a sense of scarcity because everyone knows the new premium vehicle is going to be good, but it's only going to be good for that update because the next premium vehicle is going to be better. So people feel inclined to spend that 50 to 60 bucks every few months. It's quite genius, but also quite scary playing on people's psychology like that. Now, if you read through the conclusion, there's a very important paragraph that I think highlights the exact issue that we're going through with War Thunder right now. And it says, another point that has been rarely mentioned is the prevalence of ethical issues within these gaming models. As mentioned above, in some games, conversion rates to paying customers can be low as 1%, meaning that this 1% of gamers would finance 99% of the gamers who do not pay anything to play the game. This raises the question of whether it is ethically correct to milk this very small portion of the player base to sustain the game, or if there would be other methods that are more feasible. So if we look back at the 20% of players who pay to the 80% who don't, the players of 20% who are paying to support War Thunder are actually paying for the entire 80% that aren't financially contributing because they aren't really contributing to the game's development. So now, with making the grind harder and the economy changes, the constant new premium vehicles, the battle pass, the sales, are they really trying to milk the 20% to fund the other 80% so they can still have a game? Or are they trying to make the game more balanced, as in they have a 50 free to play, 50% pay? What is the goal here? Overall, I think it's pretty clear how War Thunder is structured, and they clearly are molding War Thunder to fit inside of this model pretty standard-like. Now, I think what helped me the most when I went and tried to learn about the free-to-play business model and how War Thunder relates to it is it really allowed me to dissect the really critical points in which War Thunder is really screwing up. Mainly the ideas of scarcity and FOMO, as well as creating a sense of frustration among players about how difficult the grind is, forcing them to spend real money. Now, because we're able to focus on those critical elements, we can be more precise in our survey responses with what we want to see changed. Because it's impossible for things to change when all you can suggest is make the economy better. That's very vague. You're not going to be able to make changes based on that comment. I hope this video was insightful to you. I know I learned a lot making it. so I hope you learned just as much as I do watching it. Be sure to go check out the second part of this 2-part video series. I'm sure a lot of you will enjoy that one as well. Thank you so much for your support as always, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.